Welcome back into NFL Daily Live. I am Tom Downey, producer Jack, behind the scenes here as we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Rumble as well. We are once again doing NFL Daily After Hours on today's show, so make sure you head over to Rumble once today's live show wraps up. We'll make sure the chat gets popping here. Our first question of the day. Shout out your favorite team. And of course, is NFL Daily, so we didn't put NFL on there, hoping that it's NFL focused in there. But get your responses in for me. Your favorite NFL team. You can comment on Facebook, on YouTube, any of those there. I see Cowboys from Richard Lee, Niners from Pryon, Juan Hernandez says Raiders, Dolphins from John Ruiz, Jags from Kyle Donovan. Nice. Man United from Samuel Rowe. I did say football team. That's football, a.k.a. Grass Fairies. That's just for you, intern Jeff. Eagles from Edward Wright. Vikings, I think you meant there, Dustin. You stopped after Vikey. Garth Todd says Dolphins. Jeremy says Vikings. Bashir says Eagles. So does Dan VFFV. Jav in the Box says Steelers. Board Skyler says Seahawks. Bucks from Gaming Wizard. Falcons. Isaac Green. King Higgins says Raiders. Crypto TT says Giants. King Higgins back with the Raiders. There we go. Lovely King says Chargers. Bolt up. Mark Gabbert says Browns and the Panthers. Issue once every 4 years. That sounds fine to me. Commanders from Jason Heiner. Dolphins from Aaron. Bears from Trevor Sims. And Lions from Keith Jackson. One of our main stories today is going to be about Jimmy Garoppolo and what his future holds. It will also be our NFL Daily After Hours segment, some destinations for Jimmy G there on Rumble only. Cut's an option too, but of the two main ones for the Niners and Garoppolo, what do you think they're more likely to do? Type in T for trade or K for keep. I'll get some shout-outs going on this one too. King Higgins says K. Justin Ham, Crypto, Juan Hernandez, all typing in T. Joe says T as well. Let's see. I have traded the Dolphins. Ooh, from Charlotte. Interesting. Let's see. Keep from Trey Lance. Keep from Jav in the Box about Trey Lance. Keep from Rick Parker. Keep from JT the Pipe Layer. Bonk. Lore says T. James Spicer says T. Dustin says T. Jeremy says T. So I think it's mostly T's, but a very different level of votes for the keeps than what it was a couple months ago. That narrative has changed quite a bit. Cut, of course, is also an option. James Bradberry has been released today by the New York Giants. At long last, everyone was waiting and waiting and waiting for him to get released, and finally, they've gone ahead and done it as the Giants were taking their good old sweet time trying to find a trade. Did not materialize. So someone will sign him. He is still a starting caliber corner despite coming off a bit of a down year. Who will sign Bradberry then? I see Chiefs from Richard Lee. Kyle Donovan says bring him to Duvall. The Jags need another corner. I'm not so sure they did. They've invested a pretty good amount at that level there. Colts from Pryon. Eagles from Crypto. Yeah. Eagles make a lot of sense for James Bradberry. I very much agree on that one. Cardinals, I agree there too, John. Raiders, that's been a popular one from you, Dustin. Saints, Raiders, Steelers, more Raiders from Juan Hernandez. Niners in there. Everyone's giving the wrong answer, you say, Jack? Jack says Patriots. Hey, you drafted two corners. They're both nickels, but you drafted two corners again. Falcons, Colts, Juan Hernandez is spamming Raiders there. James Pipe plays a plumber. Okay, that's fine then. No bonk. You're good. Titans from Joe. Cordy Key from Raiders. So Raiders are winning that live proprietary data scraper vote results. Seahawks from Aaron Prince, though. Raiders do make some sense. They've got a lot of corners, though. I'm not as convinced there. I do think Philadelphia would be a great pickup for James Bradberry in all. I think it's a good fit, need and team-wise and player-wise as well. We'll also run through some Baker Mayfield destinations, trade or release. 3 options right now as it relates for the Cleveland Browns. They can cut him, eat the dead money, and just be done with him altogether, which I'm not sure they really want to do. Or they could trade him and maybe eat some of the money in the process there. Seahawks and Panthers really stand out as destinations for Baker. They could also just wait, chill, relax, see if anyone gets hurt, see what happens, and then make a final call closer to the trade deadline. Of course, Baker would probably want to be on a new team. That bridge kind of got burnt real quick between the organization and the player. So what will the Browns do? C, T, or W? This is the pin poll on today's live video, and it's pretty damn close, Jack. 39% are typing in C for cut. 31% are going T for trade. 30% are typing in W for wait. So we're not quite, but that's as close to a third across the board we've had so far. Very close development on that standpoint there. Kyle says wait, depending on how the Watson situation goes. It's possible. I will make note the Browns added Jacoby Brissett to replace Watson in the event he misses time due to suspension. We'll have to wait and see on that front. Garth Todd and Keith Jackson both say T for trade. Sports Talk says C. Jeff Rogers says C. Lore and Rogers also say C in there. Pyron says Baker to the USFL. He's still a starting caliber quarterback if we consider starting caliber better than 32. He's better than Drew Lock and Sam Darnold, I promise you that much. But it's a contract and trade situation there. So I think Baker will start somewhere in the NFL next year. I don't know where it will end up being. We will spend some time on free agency. So I'm curious here. Who is a player who you want your team to go out and sign? Just drop a player name for me in the comments. Actual free agents. So, yes, producer Jack would love to get Jalen Ramsey on his Patriots. He'd love to get Tom Brady back. Those are not free agents. Have to pick actual players who are available. I see Julio to the 49ers from Pyron. Caleb put a trade name in there. Free agent name, although that'd be fun for the trade standpoint as well. Jorge, I don't know which team you're a fan of, but you got James Bradberry in there. Jeff Gilmore already signed already. He's with the Colts now. Jarvis Landry to Jacksonville. I actually don't hate that idea. They got a slot in Christian Kirk, but not the worst idea. Some Odell Beckham's in there. Brandon, I'm a Lions fan. I don't want any. That's fair. Garth Todd says JC traded to the Miami Dolphins. That checks out. Our NFL 2020 says Raiders James Bradberry. Julio Jones to the Niners from Joe Cataley. Browns Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney to the Falcons from Isaac Green. Both those make a lot of sense. A lot of Bradberry in there. Niners, Falcons for them. Patriots in there from no. Is that your burner, Jack? No? You say no, so it is your burner. Yeah, there you go. I got you. Kadarius, that's a trade. I think Eric Berry? That's what you mean there, Caleb? Or you mean James Bradberry? That's two different ones there. Bradberry makes a lot of sense for them. Maybe. Landry to the Bears. They need receiver help, so sure. And finally, AJ says Julio to the Packers to revive his career. Not a bad destination either. If you want us to get today's live show going, do me a favor and like the video. We've got 160, almost 200 people now watching live, and like 15% of you have liked the video. Heartbreaking numbers on that one there. So help us out. When you like the video, it tells YouTube, hey, these guys are doing cool things, and you should show more of them to other people, and we can continue to grow, and I can feed my family, and Jack can help take care of himself because he's a grown boy now, right? Yeah, there you go, Jack. So like the video. Help us out so we can get going a little bit more on today's show. Here is what's coming up on Live NFL Daily, by the way. News and rumors, some trade buzz, free agency, and the James Bradberry release, plus some destinations in there. 2 mailbags. You can either super chat right now or use hashtag NFL. If you do use hashtag NFL, producer Jack doesn't want you to spam too much, just a couple times in there, and you'll be just fine on that standpoint. Other thing we'll need you guys to do is just get them in now. It'll allow Jack to find your questions earlier on, so we appreciate that. Baker Mayfield Trade Destinations is our segment. And in NFL Daily After Hours on Rumble only, we've got Jimmy Garoppolo Destinations. So make sure you follow us over there, rumble.com/NFL Daily. All that's coming up right now here on the Live NFL Daily. We here at Chat Sports are trying to get to 300,000 subscribers. We have passed the 100K mark, 200K mark. Now we're past 291. Still got some work to do. So help us out, and if you get free videos in exchange, I think it's a pretty good deal there. Hit that big red button and subscribe at youtube.com/chatsportstv for NFL videos every single day in season and in the off season as well. Tom Downey here for Chat Sports with the latest NFL rumors and news as we move beyond the draft into a bit of a lull period. There are some trade rumors and ideas popping up, however, including one on Saquon Barkley. Bleacher Report put together their best trade ideas for deals that could be done before the NFL trade deadline, which is really kind of more after June 1st when there's some potential money to be saved. One of their ideas was Saquon Barkley to the LA Chargers, which is interesting to an extent there. The Giants allegedly were open to trading away Saquon. They did not do so. I believe in large part because who wants to pay Saquon $7.217 million for 1 year? That's a pretty big number. However, if you allow the season to get played a little bit and then you make that deal closer to the actual season or in season, the longer you wait as he plays more games, the less a new team would have to pay him. So it does start to make a little bit more sense. The other problem is that Saquon has regressed over his career, injured in 2020. And yes, we can definitely blame a bad Giants offensive line for his poor play in 2021, although he averaged less yards per carry than Devonta Booker did. And if you got to rely on a good offensive line, maybe you don't want to pay that back big money, which is also why you don't want to pay it back big money in general. If you can get 2018 Saquon Barkley or even 2019 Saquon, that's probably worth $5 or $6 million. I mean, that's Melvin Gordon money, and that's just as good as Melvin Gordon, production-wise, if not better, which it certainly was in 2018. So you're playing that tricky balancing act there if you're the Giants, but you also know you're rebuilding, and you're not going to be a great football team this year. So even though you don't have a starting caliber back behind Saquon Barkley, sorry, Matt Breida, it could make some sense to shop Barkley at the trade deadline or in the offseason still and get a draft pick or even a different player back that fits your timeline a little bit better. For the Chargers side of it, it's a weird fit. Austin Eckler does what Saquon Barkley does in a similar-ish fashion from like a third down explosiveness perspective. You draft Isaiah Spiller, Joshua Kelly all recently in the early parts of day 3. I don't think running back is that big of a need for the Chargers, but they are all in. So if Saquon plays well early in the year, maybe it could start to make some sense for LA. But I think this that they're all in isn't always a good reason for a team to go trade for a particular player. At least that's more my mindset there. So give me a number. What is the percent chance the Giants trade Saquon Barkley, whether it is now, in June, July, or mid-season? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get an ad break here on YouTube, take advantage of it. While the ad plays, head down there and drop that percentage. Some Giants news now, but more the NFL focus here. James Bradberry, at long last, has been cut by the New York Football Giants. They tried to trade him, and they had talks with the Texans and the Chiefs, and nothing got that close in the end. And I think the Giants were hoping he could fetch a bigger return fetch a return. Didn't pan out that way. Now, Bradberry is coming off a down year. 8 touchdowns is a lot. 848 yards allowed is a lot for a corner. Same with the 61.7% completion rate. Now, that number didn't change that much from 2020, but the yards allowed, when he got beat a lot worse than what he did in that 2020 campaign. Always been good with the ball and with ball skills. The Giants really did try to trade him. But between his contract and the down year and the fact that everyone in the Giants needed the cap space, they wanted to wait him out. So Bradberry could fetch pretty decent amount of money potentially on the open market. 5 teams, James Bradberry destinations here to keep an eye out for. The Raiders have been heavily linked. I think they're actually okay at corner, but they like to add corners, and I respect that because I want to have a bunch of good corners on my roster. Philadelphia, they need a number 2. That is exactly what Bradberry would end up being. The Patriots I know producer Jack wants him pretty bad. He's our Patriots fan here. The Steelers, I think, are a nice sleeper team, and I would not rule out the Arizona Cardinals either. A good idea to get some more cornerback help on that standpoint there. So those are just 5 teams I think are worth keeping an eye out for in the end. So who do you think will end up signing James Bradberry? Is it going to be the Raiders, one of the 5 teams you mentioned, or somebody else altogether? Get your predictions in for me in the comment section right now. Folks, if you haven't already, please subscribe to us here at Chat Sports. We got daily videos for you guys. The news, the rumors, the trade ideas, the mailbags, you name it. This is your one-stop shop for everything around the NFL and the NBA, as the draft lottery is barely a week away, or just over a week away, I should say, and they're going to have trades in the draft. We got you guys covered here because it is Chat Sports. After all, if you love NFL, NBA, etc., hit that big red button and subscribe right now. Talk Jimmy G trade now, as the interesting update came through from ESPN that I found fascinating. They say that Jimmy Garoppolo should be cleared from his shoulder surgery in late June or early July. At that point, in a month and a half or 2 months, let's just say 2 months here, the Niners will then try to trade him again, and that the market's been quiet as teams wait for Jimmy G to get healthy. And that's interesting because you're really going to have a team like the Panthers wait and not get their quarterback in until the beginning of August. That doesn't benefit a organization desperate to win games right now. Plus, he's due almost $25 million in 2022. Is Jimmy G down to restructure his deal, or will the Niners eat some of it? No, absolutely not. They could cut him and save all of that, unlike, say, Baker Mayfield. And I wouldn't totally rule out the idea that probably at a restructured figure, as opposed to his almost $27 million cap hit right now, Garoppolo is back as a backup QB in San Francisco because they have Nate Sudfeld and Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, who I don't think you want playing games ever in the NFL. I have full faith in Trey Lance, but if the Jimmy G market does not materialize at a different cost, it would make a lot of sense to keep Garoppolo as your backup QB if there really is no trade market or free agency market for Jimmy G's standpoint if he and the Niners wait too long and there's just nobody else out there at that point. So do you think the Niners will end up trading Jimmy Garoppolo? T for yes, they'll trade him away. They'll get the deal done before week 1 of the season. Or K for, you know what, they're just going to end up keeping him for now. Whether that comes via a restructured contract, a release, and a re-signing, or whatever. Get your predictions in of those 2 options in the comments. T for trade or K for keep. Let's talk about the future of Rob Gronkowski, who is in a pretty unique situation right now. Gronk has not said much about his future. I think part of it is he doesn't want to do a bunch of the workout stuff. And CBS Sports reported he's not going to make a call until after minicamp in June. But Greg Allman of The Athletic, I think I pronounced the last name right, says there's a good chance Gronk ends up returning to Tampa Bay. At some level, I kind of think that given this is the same guy who would film workouts on one day, did like different shirts and stuff, and send him on different days to prove he was working out, then lied about it. Like maybe he just wants to go full on, Brett Favre, etc., and not have to work a ton in June and July, and then work harder in August and enjoy his time off for his aging and beat up body. We'll spend some more time on Gronk in a second. I wonder if it's Bucks or bust for Gronk this year. So of these 3 options, where does Gronk play this season? Type in B for the Buccaneers, N for no one, or O for other. It's a different team altogether. Make those predictions right now in the comments. B, N, or O. Gronk's last 4 years, as weird as this sounds, he was actually maybe at his best year in 2021, even as he gets older and older, right? 2020, he was a good football player, more touchdowns there. Didn't play at all in 2019, and that came after a bit of a down year in 2018 where the yards were fine, the touchdowns had dipped, even with Brady at QB, and it was kind of like, how much more is Gronk really going to be a factor? And then he came off his best year in a while in 2021. Now his contract expired. He is a free agent. I would not be surprised if he re-signs with Tampa. I just kind of feel like it's Brady and the Bucs or bust maybe for Gronk there. And Tampa could still utilize another tight end. They have used multiple tight ends in the past. O.J. Howard leaves along with Gronk. They draft Kate Otten, who I like a lot. I like Kate Otten a lot in the out of the 4th round in Washington. Could be a nice long-term piece for them. But he can be a tight end 3 in year 1. That's fine for you. Keith he can be a practice squad guy if you want to. And the other 2 guys whose names no one can pronounce, it's fine on that standpoint. So if I were the Bucs, yeah, I'm going to bring back Rob Gronkowski at the right cost. I think it's a matter of, does Gronk want to play football right now, or does he want a little break and go back to retirement and enjoy, being the Gronk we all know and love? Let's do some shout-outs now. Pick a QB. If you could trade for one of these 2 guys, who would it be? Jimmy Garoppolo, JG, or Baker Mayfield, BM? Get those votes in for me. I'll give some shout-outs here. Neither from Y Big Jordan. That's fair. Got to pick one, though. I'm making you pick one. It's a tough question, I know. That's the point, though. BM from Isaac Green, from Wolf Heinsohn, JG from Evan Hinders, and Brett, and Joe, and Mason Stevenson, and Garth Todd. Seems like the Garoppolo votes are winning here. With Michael says BM, Robert says BM, Bobby Hicks, I love this one, BM, but both are bums. Yeah, both are. Jimmy G's probably a more consistent, steady player when healthy right now. He's of course battled injuries throughout his NFL career. Baker has a lot more upside. He's shown he could be a top 10 QB. That 2020 end of season run from Baker was awesome. The problem is he wasn't good at all last year. Someone wrote in Sam Darnold, gross, I hate it. Jared says JG because that's my initials. It's a good reason there. Zachary says BM. Jeff says JG. Michael says JG. Keith says JG. Pirates, how can Jimmy be traded to SF to SF? I see what you're saying. It's funny. Trevor wrote in Mike Glennon. There you go. That's a fun one there. That's Davis Mills' secret dad because they both got extremely tall, long necks for no reason. The Garoppolos tend to have it, but maybe 60% to 40% on that one. As it relates to Garoppolo, we will have NFL Daily After Hours on Rumble only. So get over to the Rumble side of things, rumble.com/NFL Daily. I see Bobby Hass is already over there. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate that. We will have our Jimmy Garoppolo Trade Destinations film live exclusively on Rumble, so make sure you follow us, rumble.com/NFL Daily. It is mailbag time first, however, and if you've got questions, now's your chance to do it. Use hashtag NFL, or you can skip the line by super chatting like Kyle Donovan did moments ago. So make sure you use hashtag NFL in the comments section so you guys can get your questions answered here live on NFL Daily. Tom Downey of Chat Sports here, answering all of your questions as part of our live NFL Daily mailbag. Whatever questions you have, we answer them on the show, beginning with a super chat from Kyle Donovan. What are your thoughts on the Earl Thomas situation? I love your content. Give it the good work. Thank you, Kyle. Those of you that don't know, arrest warrant out for Earl Thomas after he had threatened his, I believe it ended up being his wife and his kids, by the way, which is really bad. You, of course, have the legal process play out, etc., but the texts are pretty damning based on what's been reported through police and media and whatnot. So probably shouldn't play football again. I think should either be in jail or need severe psychiatric help. Unfortunately, Earl Thomas, just from his actions that we know of publicly, seems to have deteriorated over the past couple years. That's horrible. From an NFL perspective, don't want him on my team. Nowhere near my organization because that shit's just not okay. It's pretty straightforward for me. Nate Rosario, trade Dak Prescott for Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, why would the Cowboys eat all the dead money and trade for a mediocre QB? I know Nate's trolling, so I appreciate that, my friend. Brandon Kinder, is it fair to say Matthew Stafford is a top 4 QB? If we are trying to take what we are expecting this year out of quarterbacks, it's a little tough to go down that route. I think you're going to have to take Josh Allen over Matthew Stafford. I think you got to take Patrick Mahomes, maybe Russell Wilson. I think Stafford, because he's come on the Super Bowl, really helps his stock quite a bit there. I think he's still got to take Brady, by the way, Rodgers as well. So now we're outside of the top 4. I think you would then start to include, he's probably in the tier of, I'm not going to anoint Herbert yet. He's in that tier. I think you're including guys like a Joe Burrow. Maybe a Wilson, I think, is probably more in that tier. Lamar Jackson, if he's not hurt and injured the entire season. I think he's one of those QBs you feel really great about as your franchise guy, even as he does begin to age, but not quite top 4 for me. From Carmen San Diego, we know what San Diego is Spanish for. Would you make DK the highest paid NFL receiver? Highest paid is a little tricky to deal with there as it relates to DK. Can I get him for $25.1 million? Can I say, hey, Hill and Adams and Hopkins are all a bit more proven than those guys, so would you be willing to get going on that standpoint as it relates to a little bit more than A.J. Brown, and we pay you as the next highest young receiver? That might work, I think, for both sides, I would hope. If he wants 30, probably try hard not to do it, maybe even wait a year and then pay him, because I don't think the market's going to change that much from now until the next few years. So what should Seattle do with DK Metcalf? Type in P for pay, T for trade, or type in W for wait. I'm going to make this question the pinned comment on today's mailbag. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know what you think the Seahawks should do with DK. Michael, I turned 21 this summer. What is your go-to summer relaxing beer? Corona with a lime is always absolutely fire as far as I am concerned. There was a light beer I had. What was it? Not that. Shiner makes a really nice, it's called their Weiss and Easy beer. Here in Texas, of course, it gets super freaking hot. I love that beer as well. But Corona and Shiner Weiss and Easy are two of my go-to ones there. From Cujo, what available right tackle would be a good fit for the Chargers? So Darrell Williams can play right tackle. The Bobby Massey, Riley Reif can do it as well. The other big names in Dwayne Brown and Eric Fisher and Jason Peters, they play left tackle. So maybe a Brandon Shell. I don't love those options, but I don't want to see Storm Norton play anymore at right tackle, so I would strongly look at one of those older veterans and just see what ends up happening. From Bam Troll, could the Vikings finish top 5 in the NFC? I think they absolutely could. Let's assume that Packers will just go with the defending champs, and Bucks and Rams and Cowboys win the NFC. That's then you're competing against the Eagles, Bears, the Lions, the Saints, Falcons, Panthers. The NFC West is going to be your main competition there, I would argue. Plus, I think Philadelphia is going to be pretty good this year. In the Niners and the Cardinals, and probably not the Seahawks. In the AFC, not a chance. In the NFC, they actually do have a shot at getting a top 5 spot and making a playoff game this year. Remember, they had one of the better point differentials. They lost a bunch of close games that hurt them. They had a better point differential than, actually about what you would expect for a 8-9 team. But there were a lot of close losses that they could win more of next year. Now, if you want the best NFL coverage on YouTube, then subscribe. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. Let's get to 3,000 subscribers as soon as possible so we can put that little notch on our belt. Plus, you guys get free NFL videos once you subscribe for free. Richard Lee, who has drawn the ire of producer Jack for spamming, apparently. Jimmy G traded the Dolphins. I don't really get why they would do that. They have Tua, who is their young guy that they could hope is their franchise QB. They also signed Teddy Bridgewater. Is Jimmy G better than Bridgewater? Yeah, probably. But I also would think that they committed to him, so why would they trade assets and pay big money for a backup because they're not coming over Tua? So I don't see why Miami would end up doing that. DeJohn Bell, what is Jahan Dotson's player comparison? Let me see if I have one in my draft notes there. I think NFL.com's Emmanuel Sanders comp was pretty good. I don't know if he's ever going to be a true number one guy. I do have concern about him against press coverage, but he does win outside of his frame really well. I thought it was a little bit early where the Commanders took him, but I do believe he's going to be a good starter in the NFL. So I like the Emmanuel Sanders comp from a play style and maybe upside peak level perspective as well. From Tommy Tom, are the Giants going to trade Slayton or Toney? Maybe. I look at this Giants depth chart and I go, okay, you restructured Sterling Shepard, you kept Kenny Galladay, you now have Kadarius Toney, Darius Slayton, and you drafted Wan'Dale Robinson. And by the way, you have guys who played roles in recent years in C.J. Board and Colin Johnson and Richie James, and the numbers game doesn't quite add up to me for the Giants, especially if you want to have some special teams help at receiver 5 or 6, and you spend a certain pick on Robinson, you want to play him, you're just going to pay Slayton to do not a lot as a pure vertical threat. So I do think it makes sense for probably Slayton more so than Kadarius Toney as a trade target. Now, there are several teams who need wide receiver help. That is the Chicago Bears, I would argue, are in pretty dire straits from that standpoint there. I would not rule out the Browns looking for more receiver help. The Colts, if you want a lesser big body, maybe a shiftier slot guy, since Paris Campbell simply cannot stay healthy. The Falcons are still in desperate need of getting another receiver. I don't think they've done enough at that spot quite yet. The Packers, you're going to bank on Sammy Watkins? Because I ain't. Slayton actually be a good fit for their play style there. The Ravens traded away Marquise Brown. They could use one. The Saints never ruled them out in Tennessee. No disrespect meant towards Nick Westbrook-Akina, but I would get a new number 3. So of the two Giants wide receivers, who would you rather trade for? Kadarius Toney, who has some off-the-field effort issues apparently, or the less productive at times vertical threat Darius Slayton, but Toney's starting with well in his hands, a better player, but value, cost, etc. Pick one. DS for Darius Slayton or KT for Kadarius Toney. From Isaac Green, do you think Ritter is the future of the Falcons? Maybe. I think he's fairly close to being ready to play football games in the NFL, a lot closer than I think Malik Willis is. So I would like to see him play this year. If he shows some flashes, cool. My concern, though, Falcons are bad. They're drafting top 2. And then you almost got to take Shredder Young if they play like they did last year. And then Ritter's kind of stuck in an unfortunate spot relative to his own career. From Jeff Rogers, if you had one drive to win a game, Josh Allen or Mahomes? I mean, yes, to answer your question, I think I'll go Mahomes since I've seen him win a title already. James Heiner, which second-year QB do you think will have a jump in year 2? Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, or Justin Fields? Now, Bears fans are going to get pissy with me here. I don't think they've done enough to help Fields. The offensive line is still not great. The receiving core it's mid, to be honest. I don't like it all that much. It's average at best. Zach Wilson, the Jets have invested in and given a lot of talent to. I think Lawrence is going to take the biggest jump in year 2, though I'd probably rank them jump-wise in that order. That does not mean I'm out on Fields. I think it might be more of a year 3 breakout for him. Augustus Sam, interesting spelling there. Better edge to target, Justin Houston or Melvin Ingram. So, funnily enough, the Ravens and Chiefs both put the rarely used free agent tender on these two, where they still qualify for comp picks. Otherwise, if no one signs them, they're going to basically have to re-sign at a slightly higher rate than what they made last year. So they could just go back with their teams, right? Houston made a bigger impact overall last year. I do think down the stretch, postseason-wise especially, I think Melvin Ingram really stepped up with the way he played down the stretch for the Chiefs. Now, other teams beyond KC and, of course, Baltimore just keeping Justin Houston. The Browns, they've been linked to, of course, just keeping Jadeveon Clowney pretty heavily. I think Arizona could still do with another edge. The Dolphins have shown interest in more help. They brought in Carlos Olympic-Mix. They could make sense for both of those players. And I think the Rams could be a nice little fun veteran fit given where they are at with their organizations. But it's a very real chance they just go back, Houston to the Ravens and Ingram to the Chiefs. If you had your choice, though, of these two players, Who would you rather keep? Type in JH for Justin Houston or type in MI for Melvin Ingram. Let me know in the comments section right now. From Kevin Sykes, do you think the Bears' new regime is behind Justin 100%? I hope so. Having a top 10 pick ish on your roster at QB, you should be all the way behind him. It felt like they know they're going to be rebuilding this year, and that's why they didn't go full in on that standpoint. But they should be. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. But you got to develop him, and that last regime failed. I think it's been a great start so far for this one, but there's still time. From Dan Viv. Who should the Titans get to replace A.J. Brown? Name a receiver. I would look for an outside guy. You've got Robert Woods. I think Treylon Burks, year one, probably good to play him in the slot. I would like some speed and vertical threat ability. So how about Will Fuller? Now, he's always hurt, so that's fair, but you need some speed on the outside for that organization. I think Fuller could be a good fit for what they're lacking overall. If you haven't already, folks, please make sure you subscribe to us here at Chat Sports. We do our live shows on Mondays and Wednesdays for NFL Daily, answering all of your questions live. So if you want to be a part of those mailbags, hit that big red button and sub right now. Let's do shout-out times on YouTube and on Rumble. I see Bobby Hass in there. For that next mailbag, Jack, just go full screen, and I'll mention Bobby Hass's question because I want to make sure we get that on. That makes sense. Just go full screen with the Rumble L3. So, Bobby, I see your question. Thank you for watching. We'll answer that on the next mailbag there in a little bit. I see it. I see Falcons from Sean, John Ruiz from Miami, ING Productions from the Broncos, Cujo says Chargers, Raiders from Jeff Rogers, Titans from Iceman, Robert from Raiders, Steelers from Evan. I didn't know you were a Steelers fan, Evan. I had no idea on that one. Broncos from Caitlin Stoddard, and the Commanders from Dejan Bell. I hope I'm pronouncing that first name correctly. As a reminder, folks, we will be live on NFL Daily after hours on Rumble only. So make sure you guys are tuned in on that platform. I'll make sure that link is put in the comments. Just make sure that link is in there right now. If you get in there early, you type in me, I'll make sure we give you guys a shout out before we go exclusively to NFL Daily After Hours. That is going to be Jimmy Garoppolo Trade Destinations. So you don't have to go over there right now, but make sure you get over there ASAP. That way we can have our NFL Daily After Hours. That link is going in there in the comments section. We've got Baker Trade Destinations, then a mailbag, then After Hours exclusively on Rumble. So make sure you follow us, rumble.com/NFL Daily. Get over there and support us on that platform as well. You're watching NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey, and today's video is potential Baker Mayfield trade destinations via trade or via a release, and the or is still a bit of a question mark as it relates to Baker's future around the NFL. The Browns and the other NFL teams appear to be in a bit of a staring contest right now. Baker has a fully guaranteed $18.86 million salary in 2022. The Browns, well, they don't want to eat any of it because they still think Baker's a starting caliber team. They look at some teams, we'll get into it in a minute, they're like, your QB sucks. Just trade for him. Other teams are like, yeah, we don't want to pay that. Also, you gave Deshaun Watson all of the money. You kind of hurt us a little bit on that front. We don't like what you did there. So, a staring contest, a waiting game. Somebody's got to swerve at some point. It's kind of like you got two cars heading towards each other. Someone's got to move at some point, but there's a long way to go with the trade deadline. The season's still a long ways away. Baker is better than at least some of the starting QBs out there in the NFL. The problem is that it's not the best grouping that he's better than. His 2021, to be blunt, was not very good. He struggled. He had injury problems, but he also just wasn't confident. Like, he'd drop back, have three guys open. You all saw the screenshot when I football right against Steelers. Just drop back, three open, doesn't throw it. Stands there and then just takes a sack. It was horrible. But down the stretch in 2020, Baker Mayfield look like a top 10 QB. If Sam Darnold got a shot with Carolina, somebody should be willing to give Baker a shot. Now, there is maybe the Browns keep him in case Deshaun gets suspended, which I get, but they also signed Jacoby Brissett. So the Browns organization right now is built with 5 QBs on the roster, plus that includes a practice squad guy in Harper who's not going to do anything for you because, UDFA, just a camp arm. You don't have to keep him on your roster. You don't need him, even if Deshaun misses 6 games or whatever. So because of that, I do think there's a possibility the Browns say, you know what, we'll hold him on the roster through the season and then try to trade him beyond that. We don't need him on the roster, but we will wait. And teams might say, okay, you'll cut him before we sign him. But there's we got to make our move to get our guy now. See the back and forth? It's tricky, right? So what will the Browns end up doing with Baker Mayfield? 3 options here on today's show. C for cut, T for trade, W for wait. In a moment, we are about to break down my top 5 destinations for Baker Mayfield via cut or trade. Before that, I want you guys to get your answers for me in the comment section. This question is the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there, type in C for cut, T for trade, or W for wait. Number 5 on my list, the Detroit Lions. This one would probably be more of a cut than it would be a trade. They do have 4 QBs on the roster in Jared Goff, Tim Boyle, David Blough, and Steven Montez. I would argue the upside of Baker Mayfield is better than what Jared Goff can bring you at this stage. He hasn't been a fantastic QB by any stretch of the imagination. It just kind of feels like the Lions right now are biding their time until they get a new franchise guy locked in for a rebuilding organization. Could Baker be that guy? Maybe, but you might just be a 1-year rental from that standpoint. So who will Baker play for next season? I don't think it's the Lions. They were number 5 for a reason. I think there's one team that really stands out to me. So I want you guys to make your predictions in the comments section. Who do you think Baker plays for next year? Dark horse team, how about the New York Giants? They check in at number 4 on my list here. They have 2 QBs. If they don't add Baker, they are fine on their active roster with Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor. I would also argue, however, that Baker Mayfield is better than both of those QBs because, yes, Baker Mayfield didn't have a great year this past season. Daniel Jones has had 2 bad years in a row. Now, you can also make the point that, his supporting cast was terrible, however. I would rather have Baker Mayfield than Daniel Jones. I've seen Daniel Jones for 3 years, and I don't think he's ever remotely showed me the same highs that Baker Mayfield has shown me. Those last 2 years are bad. And I know the supporting cast is rough. I get all of that. If he gets cut, it'd be a cut, I'd say, more so than a trade idea. I think it could make sense to bring in Baker Mayfield and allow him and Jones to compete for that starting job. Tyrod can be quarterback 3. If Baker wins the job, awesome, cool. Maybe he's your franchise guy. If Daniel wins it, cool, awesome. Maybe he's your franchise guy. If they're both bad, that's okay. Find a QB in next year's draft. Folks, we are also on Rumble. And if you want free and uncensored content on that video platform, go give us a follow at rumble.com/NFL Daily. We've got chat sports videos plus other stuff around news, politics, tech, and business. We are growing to other platforms, one that you guys already like to use. So go support us. Rumble.com/NFL Daily. We also have NFL Daily After Hours on that channel. So go support us. Rumble.com/NFL Daily. These next 3 are more, they work great as cuts, but also could be trade destinations, I think, for Baker Mayfield. The Houston Texans. Now, my reasoning for putting Mayfield and Houston at 3 here is the reports out of Houston from guys like Aaron Wilson who say Houston could actually be a surprise destination for a Baker Mayfield or a Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, I am totally down to give Davis Mills another shot as a starter. he did show some nice promise. There were some games where he played really well overall last year. The raw numbers are not earth-shatteringly good, but for a third-round pick who's young and cheap and affordable, it's not that bad of an idea. So Davis Mills, I am down to keep him. If they want some competition, Houston, I do think Baker Mayfield does make some sense, although I do wonder if Baker just wants to go somewhere where there would be no competition, or at least not that level of competition for a starting job because, well, it is Baker Mayfield after all. If and when Baker gets traded or released or whatever, you know that we'll do a video on it. So subscribe right now for more free videos all off-season long. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv. The top two are in similar situations. Both teams saying, we don't need Baker Mayfield. We're not going to trade for him, blah, blah, blah. Seems like a leverage play. First up is Carolina. They are number 2 on my list. I know they took Matt Corral in the 3rd round. Fine pick. He is not ready to play football games. I hope I am wrong from that standpoint. But if you are Matt Rule and you are the Panthers organization and you know that entering this year you are fighting for your job, you cannot have your quarterback options be Sam Darnold and Matt Corral. That will get you fired. For all the bad stuff we can say about Baker Mayfield, Darnold's worse. He has never been a good NFL QB. He has lived off of his draft reputation for years. He was bad in New York. He was just as bad, if not worse, in Carolina. Look at those numbers. They did not improve at all for Sam Darnold. He's not a good quarterback. Baker Mayfield is better than Sam Darnold. So the Panthers check in at number 2 purely out of desperation because that organization, Baker's better than Darnold and Matt Corral. He might not be their long-term answer, but he might be enough for them to not all get fired after this season. So I want you guys right now to rank Baker Mayfield among NFL QBs. I was hyped for a breakout year after 2020, played like a top 10 QB down the stretch, and then was a disaster this year. He's not 1. He ain't 10. Probably not 20. But he's not 32 either. So I want to hear from you guys. Rank Baker Mayfield right now among NFL quarterbacks. Number 1 is the Seattle Seahawks because maybe the Carolina Panthers go get Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that leaves then Seattle as the ideal fit for Baker. And I know what has been said by Pete Carroll of, we got Drew Lock and Geno Smith. That's fine, and we're not going to trade for a QB. It's fine. They're not good, though. Like, I know Pete Carroll said Drew Lock would be first QB drafted. Would he have been? We have seen Lock get starts in the NFL with a supporting cast that was good enough to be viewed as a contender now with Russell Wilson. He's a sub 60% completion guy with a barely 1-to-1 touchdown-interception ratio. 6.7 yards per attempt is bad. Like, that team, Drew Lock is not good. Geno Smith has never been good in the NFL as a former early-round pick by the Jets. If Seattle wants to try Baker Mayfield, he would, I think, by a significant margin, be better than any QB on this roster. That includes Jacob Eason, by the way, and UDFA Levi Lewis. So for Seattle, if they could get him for a trade, Brown needs some money, awesome. If he gets released, they should be all over Baker Mayfield because he is significantly better than what they have right now on their roster. Maybe Seattle feels differently, but since they ain't going to trade for Jimmy G because the Niners are going to send him in division, Baker to Seattle, I think makes a lot of sense if the money is, of course, the number 1 issue right now, can be worked out. So who will Baker play for next year? We'll go shout-out style here. I'll get some sip of my water. Panthers just make too much sense from Isaac Green. Someone says Jimmy G's better than Baker. It's fair. No one wants Baker. No one wants his contract. If Baker were a free agent, he would have been signed already. I promise you that. Tampa Bay, not Carolina. Seattle Seahawks, XFL. There we go. You can throw a USFL too. I thought I'll put the Bucks on there. Gwendolyn and TTM or TT Wims. I kind of went with the mindset of Probably makes more sense for them to see if Kyle Trask can be that guy, but I do get where you're coming from on that standpoint there. Goff is better than Baker. Half of one, six of the other. Or half a dozen, six of the other. That's the proper saying there. Texans, Lions. I think the Bucs sleeper makes, I could call them a sleeper. I'm down on that standpoint. After the upcoming mailbag, we will end the live YouTube. We'll give you guys like 3 or 4 minutes to get over to Rumble, but get going now. Follow us on Rumble at rumble.com/NFL Daily. It's mailbag, then it is Jimmy Garoppolo trade or cut destination. A different list than the one we just ran through for Baker Mayfield. I see Bobby Hass. I see CC Childs 6736 in there as well. So we'll do both of those just back-to-back, Jack, on the mailbag side in there. We will be on Rumble only for NFL Daily After Hours. So get over there. If you comment on Rumble, it's guaranteed shout-out on the show as well. So I see CC Childs and Bobby already in there. Thank you guys so much. It's mailbag time now here on Chat Sports. 2 ways to get on the show. You can super chat like Dejon Bell did, I see in there, my friend. Or you can use hashtag NFL in the comments section. That will make it easier for producer Jack, who just went, stop spamming in my ear. So you only got to put in like once or twice. Then you're in the queue, and Jack will see it. Jack is steaming red right now with all the spammers. So everyone be nice to Jack. He's a good producer. Got to put it in there once, and you'll be just fine. So hashtag NFL or super chat to get on the show. This is NFL Daily, and I am Tom Downey here with one of our live mailbags, answering any and all questions from you, our live audience here at Chat Sports. A super chat to begin from Dejon Bell, James Bradberry to the Commanders. I like that, Dejon. Ron's plan. Never say never. I thought they were going to sign him back when I think they signed William Jackson in free agency. They ended up not going that route instead. You have Kendall Fuller, you have William Jackson, you have Benjamin St-Juste. I don't know if you need another corner in Washington, but I'd never be mad at it. You add corners, that's fine in general, but I think he might go somewhere where there's an easier path to playing time. From Cujo, is there a chance 3 teams from the AFC West make the playoffs? Hell yeah. You assume the Chiefs will be in it. The Broncos are going to be a threat. The Chargers almost made it last year. The Raiders did. So, you'll have a chance of all 4 teams making it. Probably not. Probably a bit too cannibalization for each other there. But that AFC West is loaded this year. I think all 4 teams, whether they make it or not, should feel good about their long-term or playoff chances this year. From Big Dog Wolf, Hayden Hurst headed for a career year with Joey B. Thoughts? What's been a career year for Hayden Hurst? I'll double-check his stats here. He should be tight end 1 over Drew Sample. He's got to get to 580 yards. So maybe I will say that Burrow's going to throw it to Chase, Higgins, and Boyd first. Can the Bengals offense, as good as it should be, have almost 3 1,000-yard guys and a 600-yard guy? I'm honestly not so sure. So I think he'll be better than what he was last year. Maybe not full-fledged career year, though. From All of the Lights, who is more likely to get signed soon? I assume you mean Jarvis Landry and Cole Beasley here. I think Landry. It's funny. The way those 2 guys were used, they're both slot receivers and pure slots in the NFL. And when you have 8.5 yards per catch, man, you are an underneath guy only. I think Jarvis Landry still has some more juice left in his tank than Cole Beasley does. But if Landry's still trying to get $20 million a year, no one's going to sign him for anything remotely resembling that particular contract. So that's got to be kept in mind there. Beasley is still a good player. I think both guys should be on an NFL roster, but I think Beasley in particular is starting to get just a little bit up there in age, and I think he's lost a half-ish step. He just turned 33. That's kind of old for a slot receiver. 5 teams I think that could use a slot receiver, right? The Browns. Now, they added David Bell, so they're probably okay, but they were linked to Landry in the past, so I'll include him there. The Falcons, I know there's Olamide Zaccheaus. I want more receiver talent. Just go do it. The Ravens were linked to Landry, and my God, they need receiver help beyond their number one, Rashad Bateman, I guess. The Saints, you've got Olave Michael Thomas. Give me an underneath guy, pure underneath guy. Of course, Thomas can do that as well. And Minnesota, dark horse team there, could use a wide receiver if you want to go all in on more 11 personnel and if you don't trust KJ Osborne to be that guy quite yet. So of these 2 slot receivers, pick one for me. JL for Jarvis Landry or CB for Cole Beasley. Which one would you rather have on your roster if, let's say, the money is similar enough? This is the pinned comment on today's video, so if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there, type in JL for Jarvis Landry or CB for Cole Beasley. From Eastwood Satch, in your opinion, what team will jump from worst to first in their division this year? Okay, so I think Ravens have a really good shot because worst to first is a 2-game swing for them. They were 8-9 last year, last in the division. That would not be outlandish. The Broncos at 7-10 have a real chance for that. If Carolina can get a QB, which I don't know if they're going to be able to, they certainly make sense, but I would look at in particular Denver and Baltimore as the 2 most likely destinations because I don't believe in the Giants, the Jags, the Jets, the Lions, or Seattle quite that much. Let's answer some of the Rumble questions coming in live right now. First up from Bobby Hass, Gronk to the boys. I doubt it. I am of the mindset that Rob Gronkowski is either going to go Tampa or bust. Plus, I'm unconvinced that in the end, the Cowboys and Gronk would be a great fit overall. I just think he wants to be with Tom Brady. Also from CC Child 6376, can the Cowboys sign James Bradberry? Can they? Yes. Will they? Yeah, I don't think so. I think Bradberry wants to go somewhere there's an easier path to playing time. And since Anthony Brown outplayed James Bradberry, not sure that path exists at this point. I think a team like Philadelphia makes a lot more sense for James Bradberry at this point. We are also on Rumble, friends. So if you have not already, go support us over there. Free, uncensored content on that video platform. Sports from us here at Chat Sports, plus other sites have news, politics, tech, business updates as well. Give us a follow for free so we can dominate that platform. Rumble.com/NFL Daily. From Alec G, sleepers for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Okay. The favorites right now are Kenny Pickett, Drake London, Treylon Burks as well. So some sleepers I don't mind. Let's include Breece Hall as among the favorites, top 4 there. How about Kenneth Walker for Seattle, plus 1,000. I think Burks is a favorite. How about Sky Moore, plus 1,100? I think those 2 guys could make sense. Your top 5, by the way, just real quick. Pickett, London, Burks, Hall, and Watson are your top 5 in the Rookie of the Year odds. So anyone beyond that, I'll call a sleeper there. If you want to go super duper deep dark horse pick, could go with how about Jalen Tolbert? If the injury problems persist at receiver for Dallas, he could be receiver 2 quickly for them. Decent dark horse bet there. And hell, I know he's a another dark horse name here. How about Trey McBride from Arizona? If Ertz gets hurt or they make McBride the starter, he could put up some big numbers in that offense. From Tristan Bravo, you think Baker would sit behind the GOAT for a year and then learn PR too much of a diva and learn too much of a nasty what the P-O was there. That's Baker to the Bucks basically. I don't think that's Baker's style. The Bucks spent a 2nd-round pick on Kyle Trask last year. So unless they are out on him already, I don't know if they would even want Baker Mayfield at that point because I think they want to give Trask a shot. As for Baker, if nobody else wants him, then yes. But Baker is a big FU, you're either with me or against me guy, which it sometimes works for his mindset. But I would wonder if in the end he would want to start immediately as opposed to waiting somewhere else. We have live mailbags for you guys here at Chat Sports, and the only way to get on the mailbags is to subscribe and watch our live shows. That kind of makes a lot of sense, right? So if you want free NFL videos every single day, make sure you guys are subscribed at youtube.com/chatsportstv. From Kelly Uphouse, I think that's how you pronounce that last name there. How do you think the Chiefs will do this year? I mean, they should be a playoff team. They should be a playoff team every single year, barring bad injuries with the quarterback that they have. So probably around 12 wins again, and they make a real playoff push is my expectation for KC this year. Isaac Green, who is the best wide receiver for the Falcons? If you mean like on the roster, pretty clearly Drake London. I mean, you're going to go with Zacchaeus or Auden Tate. If you mean to add somebody, how about you get a veteran like Emmanuel Sanders in there? I think that could be a fun fit for them, a player who would not be a long-term piece but could be a nice stopgap option for you, and I think I'd rather play him over Auden Tate at this stage in their NFL careers. From Greg Jennings, who will sign Joe Hayden? It's a good question. Hayden, I'm a bit surprised it's been so quiet around him. I don't think he played bad last year, but the injuries have begun to add up. He's on the wrong side of 30. The ball production dipped this year. The yards were fine, but 3 touchdowns in his limited reps, he did miss time with injury, is a bit of a red flag, at least for me, I think for others too. So some teams I'd keep an eye out for. If you want to get wild, Cleveland? The Browns are different with Deshaun Watson now. Could send him back to Cleveland and give Martin Emerson some time to trade away Troy Hill. And maybe you want to go with Greedy Williams, that's fine. The Steelers could always bring back Joe Hayden there. And then some teams that are still in the market for cornerback help. The Ravens, I know I put 3 AFC North teams on there, but it does kind of make some sense. The Patriots and Cardinals still stand out to me as notable teams in the market for a veteran corner. And it's a cornerback who's still pretty good, so this list goes way beyond just these top 5 guys as far as I'm concerned. So what do you guys think? What team, if any, will end up signing Joe Hayden this year? Sound off, make your predictions in the comments section. From Cujo, other than Mahomes and Allen, what other young QBs would you put in the top 10? If you want, how about this? I'll group, and it might not be full-fledged 10. I'll group the young franchise guy, and we'll put the age cutoff, if I can remember the actual names correctly here. We'll put the age cutoff at like they're gonna turn no older than like 27 this year. I think that's a good age cutoff there. So like no Russ, no Dak, no Kirk, etc. Joe Burrow's in that group. Lamar Jackson's in that group. I believe Deshaun Watson, age-wise, still fits that group. Let me check real quick here, just to make sure I'm not doing wrong here. Yeah, Watson turns 27 this year, so perfect cutoff, no older than Deshaun Watson. I think Justin Herbert falls in that category, and that's the only other quarterback I would consider putting in there. Kyler Murray is not there yet for me. Trevor Lawrence, the other young guys, Zach Wilson, Fields, Mac Jones, Lance, etc., they're not there yet. So my list then of those young guys includes Herbert, Lamar, Deshaun, and Burrow. Russell Wilson, beyond the 2 guys you mentioned, guys like a Matt Ryan, a Dak Prescott, a Derek Carr, they're all older than that younger quarterback threshold I included there. From BattleBot69, nice. So the Broncos signed Eric Fisher to play right tackle. Interesting idea. The problem I have is that Fisher's been mainly a left tackle in his time in the NFL. I don't think he's played much right at any here. He wasn't that great for Indy last year, but he wasn't bad. He allowed 7 sacks. I think you could blame Wentz not always having the best pocket presence for at least a couple of those, since sacks are in part a quarterback stat. I wouldn't hate it if you think he can play right tackle. You did sign Billy Turner. I like Billy Turner, so I'm not in desperate need to add a new right tackle that's old. I think Turner could handle that role in the end. So when it comes to free agency, name a player you want your team to go out and sign. I want to hear from you guys. We're a show for the people after all, so let me know in the comments section. From Cameron Christie, what do you think of the Lions' new receiving core? It is way better than what it was last year. You add Jameson Williams, you sign DJ Chark. That is an upgrade on the actual football field if Chark is healthy. Long term, I like Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown as a duo. I would probably take another receiver early-ish next year or sign someone to a more longer-term deal because I think Chark's going to be more of a one-year rental, and I think Quintez Cephas, etc., are more backup caliber guys. So it's a lot better and a big-time step in the correct direction. All right, which QB would you guys rather have in or on your team? JG for Jimmy Garoppolo or BM for Baker Mayfield? I'll give some shout-outs here as we get ready to go to Rumble only. Make sure you guys get over to the Rumble live stream with Bobby Hass and CC Childs. We're going to start that up in a minute here. That link's in the comment section. BMs are winning on this run-through. Nathan, Dino7, Isaac Green, Levi, but Serious Biz, John Ruiz are all typing in JG. Healthy BM from Dino7. Is that a phrasing? Healthy BM? Just kind of, we're asking you to say BM, so it's on me in the end there. Get those in. JG for Jimmy Garoppolo or BM for Baker Mayfield. If you want a guaranteed shout-out, get over to Rumble. We're going to start after hours here in 3 minutes, somewhere in that range. The link to NFL Daily After Hours, the actual live stream, is in there right now. We are about to start that up momentarily. So get over there. We are going to end the YouTube stream. So Daniel, John, Baltimore, Juan, Joe, Esso, Sharon, if you want to be a part of NFL Daily After Hours, get over there to Rumble only. And then once you're in there, we'll do some shout-outs as well because we're going to end this live stream momentarily. Give you guys 30 more seconds, then we'll cut it and then give you guys some time on that side. We are spamming that link in the comment section for you guys because the YouTube side and the Facebook side are about to be kaput. They're going to end. No more streaming on YouTube, no more streaming on Facebook. It will only be on Rumble. So I see that audience is going up on the Rumble side, but YouTube side, it is ending. So get over there right now. It's rumble.com/NFL. A 5-second countdown here since I know there's always a bit of a delay. Then we'll kill both and go to the weigh-in and do Rumble only here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get to Rumble. NFL Daily After Hours getting started right now.